Look, I've been making these side hustle videos for quite some time, and one of the easiest and most creative ways to make passive income is through this app called Neighbor, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. Basically what Neighbor is a platform that allows you to rent out your extra storage space, whether it's a room, a driveway, a closet, doesn't matter. You rent out your storage space through the app. And since I had a driveway out front, I decided why not try this and show you guys the actual numbers of how much you can make. And at the end of the video, if you wanted to make this a viable business, I'll share with you guys some ideas on how to do that. Overall, when you first start, you download the app and you sign up by listing your pictures and exactly the description of how big the space is. I recommend getting a measuring tape and actually measuring so people know. And then once you list it on your profile, Neighbor just verifies that you're a real person by either giving you a call or just emailing you. And while you're doing all that, it even gives you a suggested price of what you should list your property or your storage space for. And even though it gives you an estimate, you can still decide what you want to list your space for. So if the price is like 50 bucks a month and you see other people renting a similar spot for 80 in your area, you can change it to 80. So you don't have to stick with their suggested price whatsoever. But it does help stay competitive if you stay within the means of other people's rental prices, right? Now, you obviously won't make millions of dollars through this app, but you will make a few hundred, if not thousands of dollars a year, depending on the storage spaces that you have available and kind of how you manage it. And we'll get into all that in just a second. Personally, I've been using Neighbor for around 6 months on and off. Total time on the app has been around 12 months, but actual rentals have been about 6 months, and I made a little over $600. So for me, it's a little over $100 per month, which is pretty cool to see, especially since I had to do hardly any work, and really the only work that I had to do besides listing and taking the pictures is just communicating with guests from time to time, but it's really not that much work. Now, you might be wondering how much money does the average person, or how much money can you actually make from using Neighbor? Well, every space is obviously gonna bring in different amounts of money, like I mentioned earlier. And since you'll be storing people's stuff, access to their stuff, having a good location, protection, like security cameras, and all of that is gonna play a role in how much money you make, because the more accessible and big the storage space is, the better for your renter. For example, my storage space is just our driveway out in our front yard. Basically, it's just cement, not covered by any means, and all it is 30 feet by 10 feet that has a couple security cameras facing it. That's it. So it's safe, it's uncovered, and it's big enough to fit like a pretty big car or an SUV, or if you wanted to get crazy, maybe even a camper van. A spot like that in my area would go for anywhere between 60 and upwards of like 100, maybe $110 per month. I've had it listed for 100. I've had a couple of people ask, but they've been very short-term rentals. And then when I had it listed for 80 and $65, I had a lot of people request. And personally, I chose to charge around 80 bucks. And in the last 6 months that I've had it rented, I've had 2 separate renters, one with a trailer and a car, and the other one was just like a camper car. Communication was super straightforward and just quick text back and forth. And then from there, they just paid their monthly bills and didn't have to deal with much. Although on one of the renters, they went to jail, it was a whole thing. So it was kind of unfortunate because there was no way for me to communicate with the renter and just be like, hey, when are you gonna be out type of thing. But yeah, sometimes things like that happen, but the other person was great and great communication, and also this person was also great communication up until that point. But if you have a renter stop paying, it's in the Neighbor policy that you can either A, have them pick up their stuff, or B, someone can come and tow it. But I obviously made sure to try to communicate with that person over and over and over for over a month and nothing. So unfortunately, I just had them come pick it up, and only later did I find out that they were in jail. But at least the nice thing with Neighbor is that they will pay you out of their own pocket 2 months for the inconvenience and all the time that it took to get this all situated, and also give the renter some time to catch up on their bill in case they just got behind for some strange reason. Now, there are some drawbacks with the app, like any other service, right? For example, it's still a little bit finicky, and if you want the full best experience, I highly recommend you just use the browser version. But if you want to use the app version, it's fine too. Just know that it's a little bit buggy, and honestly, I wouldn't even bother with the emails because you're not going to get a good experience with that. And I've noticed that the app bugs out every time you do receive a request. It sends you an email and a notification in the app, and you can't even see the message unless you open the message. And then if you don't respond, it's a whole thing, okay? Just know that going into it. And there's also not a really good way to compare your prices with other people besides actually opening up like their full map and, you know, clicking on properties, basically using like a guest account as if you're gonna look for a property. And just doing it that way. And as you guys know, market research is important. So if you wanted to see what other people are charging for the spaces, that's kind of like the best way you can do it for now. We'll see if they update that, but basically that's what you're left with. And after looking at about how often I had to communicate with clients and how much work I actually did per month, honestly, it ended up being like 5 to 10 minutes per month of actual work. So if you look at it that way, it is a highly profitable per hour or even per month gig. And again, the more storage opportunities that you have wherever you live, whether it's land or maybe a private house, the better chances you have at making more money with this app.